what's up, book lovers? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Stella, and welcome to my first ever reading wrap up. Yay! Summer is officially over, and the sleeves are out. See, the sleeves are out. Now it's cold, and I'm finally doing a reading wrap up. I did think about doing this monthly, but I just gotta be real with you. I am not a fast enough reader to give you multiple books a month. I probably read maybe 3 books on a good month. So, yeah, I'm going to do a seasonal one instead. Having said that, let's get into my first wrap up. So, I read 7 books this summer. And when I mean summer, I do mean the books that I read from June 21st until September 22nd. The first book that I read this summer is The Wicked King by Holly Black. It's the second book of the Folk of the Air series. And I know this series is quite popular, so you probably already heard about this series before or already know about it. In case you haven't, because it's either you've been living under a rock or it's just not your genre, let me tell you all about it. So, the Folk of the Air series has 3 books, 2 novellas, and like a duology, I think. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The Wicked King is the second book of the series. I've obviously read the first book called The Cruel Prince. The Cruel Prince is about this girl, Jude, whose parents were murdered when she was 7. She and her sisters were taken into Fairy, which is a land inhabited by the Fae. And so she grows up in this environment, and the Fae are not really people who have the same morals as normal humans. They don't subscribe to our moralities and our ethics, and she's trying to survive. She's like a total badass, I swear. So that's the first book, and without getting into spoilers, obviously because it's now a second book, things pick up where it left off in the first book, wherein Jude has to survive being in Fairy. She has to deal with more court intrigue, and I gave this book 5 stars. It was very well done. I had in the beginning mistakenly thought that this would be a romantasy, a YA romantasy, but it's not that at all. And I think this is the reason why I thoroughly enjoyed it. It has romance in it, but it's not the main plot point. It's really Jude's struggle to be a part of the land she grew up in. And yeah, I really liked it. Hands down, I am obsessed with Jude and Carden. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. And then the next book I read in the summer is Circe by Madeline Miller. I gave this book 4 stars. I did enjoy it. It's a retelling of a character in Greek myth, Circe. If you're not very familiar with Greek mythology, Circe was this sorcerer or witch that Odysseus met on an island. She turned men who washed up in her shores into animals. So this retelling is all about Circe and her life and how she came to be on that island. I feel like it's a very well written book. It took a lot of stuff in mythology that I enjoyed. The author took some elements to fit the story, but I did feel like it was very well written in a very cohesive way, especially because Odysseus's encounter with her is the only place I really know of her. One of the reasons why I picked up this book is because I do like the name Circe. It rolls really nicely on the tongue. If you're into Greek mythology, this is definitely a book that you should read if you haven't already. This book was very well done, and it's also a great springboard if you do want to get into Greek mythology. It's not going to be accurate, but a lot of the characters that's mentioned in the book does come out in Greek myth. So it's one of those ways for you to also kind of get to know different figures in Greek myth beyond the 12 Olympians. I gave this 3 stars, so I definitely enjoyed it. After Circe, I picked up the third book of the Cruel Prince series, or more accurately, the Folk of the Air series. The book is called The Queen of Nothing. It's the last book in Jude's story, and I also gave it 5 stars. I swear Jude and Carden live rent free in my mind. I swear. They are just. Whew, I love them. I love them so much. Chemistry between the two leads is like so delicious. I know it's not a proper romance. So if you're into romantasy, just bear in mind if you have not read the Cruel Prince series, it's not a full on 100% romance. It's kind of like if a Court of Thorns and Roses meets Game of Thrones. It's sort of like that, but make it YA and make Jude like hyper competent and also very sneaky and cunning, and she's just I love it. I love the book so much. I give it 5 stars, and the only thing I can tell you without giving anything away is that the characters, all of them, are so well written, and if you want well-rounded characters, this book series for you. I really enjoyed how the series wrapped up. I thought that it was very satisfying, and there's not much I can complain about. It met all of my expectations. It maybe even surpassed some of them. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So 5 stars for all the 3 books. And if you haven't read this series, highly, highly recommend that you pick him up now because you will be in for a ride. The next book I read is the 3rd book of the Thursday Murder Club, and it's called The Bullet That Missed. It's as you would expect cozy mysteries to be. I mean, there are like heavy themes in it, but it's written in such a light-hearted way that it doesn't seem super heavy. Not that there aren't any heavy scenes, but the author does a really good job of, I wouldn't say make light of it, but it's definitely not all doom and gloom. Like, the vibe is not that. If you don't know what the Thursday Murder Club series is about, it's about 4 retired people that live in I wouldn't say it's a nursing home, but it's kind of like an estate with like other retired people in England. And they form a murder club. Thursday Murder Club, as they call it, the actual club, is basically just these 4 retired people solving cold cases to pass the time. This is the vibe of the entire series, basically. Just retirees living their best life solving murder. Having said that, I actually should tell you what The Bullet That Missed is about. So the Thursday Murder Club are investigating a new case. It's a cold case. Meanwhile, one of the main characters is faced with a new enemy that she has to deal with, on top of helping her friend solve the case. So it's really basically what you would expect in a cozy mystery. I just adore the characters and how bold they are, especially because they're like retired old grannies and grandpas. So it's really funny watching them deal with people and bulldoze their way to get what they want. I gave this 5 stars for what I expect of the genre. This book I read is Malibu Rising. The book is about the Riva family, and there's 4 siblings: Nina, Jay, Hud, and Kit. And then there's the parents, June and Mick Riva. So the book revolves around these 5 characters. The whole premise is that a lot of secrets are uncovered, a lot of drama unfolds while they're having their annual summer party at one of the siblings' house, and then the house catches on fire. Malibu Rising is my first book from Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I know that she's a very popular author. So I was very excited to read her book. Maybe because I knew she was pretty popular, that my expectations were pretty high. So yeah, it was not a bad book. I definitely think that she writes very well and that she writes compelling characters. There's just some parts where I wasn't too keen on it, and especially towards the end, I wasn't very satisfied with how it ended and how things resolved. So yeah, 3 stars. I gave it 3 stars. Next book I read for the summer is The Firm, and I gave it 2 stars. Yeah, it was a product of its time. because that book was published in 1991. I was pretty excited to read a John Grisham book because I've seen his book everywhere. I got the physical copy, actually. I actually have a physical copy of the book. I can't believe I forgot about that. But I guess it's because I also disliked it that I forgot. Like I said, it's definitely a product of his time. But yeah, I was not very happy with this. I have a reading vlog about it, so if you don't mind spoilers, go ahead and check that out. Let's just say that there are a lot of outdated things in this book that I do not agree with. Basically, the book is about this newly graduated lawyer from Harvard. So he gets hired in this firm, and it's a shady firm. It's bad news. And he realizes too late that it is bad news, and he has to figure out how to survive all of this because these are all very dangerous organizations. It has a really great premise. It was pretty well received when it was published around the 90s because it has a movie. I know Tom Cruise played a role in it. I'm guessing he played Mitch. John Grisham writes the cat and mouse chase in the book very well, but I just could not connect with the characters, particularly our main character. So, yeah, and some happenings there that I was just not very happy with. I was not happy with how things turned out and how things wrapped up. So, yeah, not too impressed with this one. If you have any recommendations about books that are by John Grisham that are better than this, do let me know. And finally, the last book that I read for this summer is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I gave it 3 stars. I'm pretty late to the party. I know this was a book that was constantly mentioned in the Booktube community years ago. I don't even know how long ago that was, but it was definitely one of the popular ones, and it's been on my TBR since I finally got to read it. And it's also my very first V.E. Schwab book. And I gotta say, I really like how she writes. Maybe some aspects of her writing where she's a bit too repetitive. That's my only gripe about her writing. But she's so good at establishing tension and vibes that that's one of the main reasons why I enjoy this book. So I gave it 3 stars, actually 3.5 stars, slightly above average. It was an enjoyable read. I really liked the main character. I was invested in her story, but I kind of felt that it was one of those what plot books where I don't know, like I didn't feel like it went anywhere. Maybe I had higher expectations, but I guess I was a little disappointed by how things not exactly wrapped up, but how we got to the ending. I feel like there was just a lot of hype, but then it didn't really live up to it, a lot like Malibu Rising. So yeah, those are all the 7 books that I read this summer. If you made it this far, I hope you like my reading wrap up for the summer. I am definitely excited to start my fall TBR, and please comment any recommendations that you have. Maybe if you've read any of the books that I've read, let me know what you think, or let me know as well if you plan on picking any of the books that I've just mentioned up. That's it for me. I will see you on my next video. Bye!